Imagine for a moment a figure whose name just brings to mind, peace, enlightenment, gentle teaching. Now, what if I told you that this same figure had a pretty surprising history of really radical, maybe even terrifying actions, long before the famous stuff? Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into some fascinating ancient Buddhist texts. Specifically, we're looking at excerpts from the Buddha's lifelong ministry in the Mahakanha Jataka. Our aim here is to explore a particular story, a narrative that kind of expands our view of the Buddha's past lives and his deep, ongoing, and sometimes startling commitment to the world's welfare.
Exactly. And what we want to unpack for you, our listener, is how this specific story, this Jataka tale, shows the huge sustained effort involved in guiding humanity. It really digs into how balance and virtue might be restored when things go wrong in society. And it suggests the path isn't always gentle.
Okay, so let's start with what's maybe more familiar. Let's establish the scale of his ministry after enlightenment. Our journey begins in the Dhamma hall at Jetavana. There are these monks, and they're just sitting there really marveling at the sheer amount the Blessed One did for the world after his awakening. They were talking about how he just gave up any personal comfort, choosing to work tirelessly just for everyone else's benefit, carrying his own bowl and robe, traveling huge distances like 18 yojanas, that's what, maybe 120, 150 miles?
Yeah, somewhere around 190 to 240 kilometers. A long walk.
A very long walk. Just to start his teaching, to sit rolling the wheel of Dhamma for those first 5 months. And then just days later, teaching them things like the discourse on non-self, he guided them all to arahantship, complete liberation.
Which is incredible in itself, that speed of transformation.
Absolutely. And like you said, that was just a start. The monks went on recounting how he just kept moving. He went to Uruvela, performed 1,000 miracles for the 3 Kassapa ascetics, converted them, ordained them.
1,000. It's a number that keeps coming up, showing the scale.
Right. Then at Gayaisai, he taught the famous fire sermon, and another 1,000 ascetics reached arahantship. And his compassion, it wasn't just for monks. He traveled, 30 yojanas to subdue Angulimala, the notorious bandit?
The one who wore the garland of fingers, yeah, a really feared figure.
Yeah, he established him in arahantship, then another 30 yojanas to deal with the Yaka.
A powerful spirit, yeah.
Subdued him, established him in stream entry, and even made sure a prince was safe in the process.
It shows this incredible range dealing with humans, bandits, spirits.
And it didn't stop there, did it?
Yeah.
The monks mentioned the divine realms too. He spent 3 months up in the heaven of the 33, teaching Dhamma to 80 crores of deities.
80 crores? That's 800 million divine beings. The numbers are just staggering.
They really are. And then even venturing into the Brahma world to challenge Brahmabhaka's delusion.
Right, breaking through that misconception and helping 10,000 Brahmas attain arahantship there too.
10,000 more. It's almost hard to comprehend. And the monks finished by saying he spent a whole year just traveling on alms rounds through all parts of the land, giving refuge, virtue, path fruits to everyone, men, women, nagas,
deities, yeah.
sopanas, those mythical birds, other beings. The sheer universal reach is just... It's remarkable.
And that's the key thing, isn't it? That sheer dedication, the reach. It's not one teaching here, another there. It's this constant active engagement across all these different realms. Humans, gods, spirits, high-level beings, even bandits. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of being could possibly sustain that level of immense, compassionate effort? Not just for a bit, but continuously.
Exactly. And right there, as the monks are discussing all this incredible effort after enlightenment, that's where the story takes a really unexpected turn. The master, the Buddha himself, comes over and asks what they're talking about. They tell him, and he says something quite, frankly astonishing. He says, Monks, it's not surprising that now, after attaining full awakening, I should work for the world's welfare.
Okay, that part makes sense.
Right, but then he adds, even before, in times of passion and defilement, I worked for the world's welfare. Even before awakening, when he was still subject to, ordinary human failings.
And that connects straight to the Jataka stories, doesn't it? If we think about the bigger picture, these tales, they're all about his previous lives, his existence as the Bodhisatta, the Buddha to be. They reveal this profound multi-life mission. It wasn't something that just switched on after enlightenment. It was this ongoing commitment spanning ages to help all beings.
So this wasn't a new mission for him, just a continuation, maybe in a different form.
Kind of, yeah. It shows this unwavering dedication no matter what form he took in a particular life. And it redefines what we might think enlightened compassion means. It suggests maybe that the methods aren't always soft and gentle. Sometimes they're startlingly pragmatic.
Right, and that leads us directly into the story he shared. He unveiled this narrative from a really distant past, showing an even deeper layer of this commitment. He took them way back to the time of the Kassapa Buddha, long before his own time. King Usanara ruled in Varanasi. You might picture, a golden age, but that wasn't quite it, was it?
No, not at all. The Buddha explained that after Kassapa Buddha entered Parinibbana, his teachings, the whole moral structure he established, the dispensation, it started to decline, slowly, kind of insidiously. It was like society was unraveling. Monks and nuns, they lost their way, abandoned their strict practices, started mixing too freely with lay people in inappropriate ways.
And the lay people too.
Them too, yeah. They neglected their own ethical practices, stopped focusing on virtue, and instead turned towards, unwholesome actions.
So not just a few bad apples, but a general trend.
Exactly. A pervasive moral decay. Most people started following the 10 unwholesome courses of action. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, harsh speech, greed, ill will, wrong view. The whole list. And the consequences were pretty grim. The hell realms, especially Avicii, the worst one, started filling up with humans after they died.
Oh, wow.
And conversely, the Deva realms, the heavens, they weren't getting new inhabitants. Fewer virtuous people meant fewer rebirths in higher realms. The whole cosmic balance was off. Seriously out of whack.
And someone noticed this from above. Yeah, Sakka, the king of the gods. He looked down from his heaven and saw this awful situation unfolding. Humanity sliding into the hells, the Buddha's dispensation crumbling. He saw the world was essentially perishing, adrift.
Right. And Sakka, seeing this, he reflected. He thought, okay, what can be done here? What's the solution? And his conclusion was, it was stark and strategic and definitely radical. He thought there's only one way, really. I need to terrify them, make the multitude frightened, shake them up, and then afterwards, console them, teach them Dhamma, and reestablish the dispensation.
So scare them first, then teach them.
Basically, yeah, but with a very specific goal. Prolong it for another 1,000 years. It wasn't just a quick fix. It was a long-term plan to shock people out of their complacency and give the Dhamma another millennium of life. It's quite something. Compassionate action taking a very unexpected, almost severe form.
And this is where it gets genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
Sakka decides on this plan and tells Modali, his divine charioteer, to create something truly dreadful. And what they come up with is like pure nightmare fuel. A huge black hound, massive, like an elephant, jet black, 4 huge fangs sticking out. Apparently it was so scary that just looking at it could cause pregnant women to miscarry.
Just horrifying to imagine.
Right. This dog, called Kanha, which means black, had 5 fetters on, a red garland around its neck, and Modali held the leash.
Quite the accessory.
And Sakka himself. He didn't just send the dog, he disguised himself too. Dressed like a forester, hair tied in 5 knots, red garland, carrying this huge bow with a coral red string and a lightning-tipped arrow.
So they both looked incredibly menacing.
Totally. They descend just outside the city, maybe 5 to 8 miles out, and Sakka just bellows out 3 times this chilling cry, "The world is perishing! The world is perishing!" People hear this, they see the terrifying dog, they freak out, run into the city, tell the king.
And the king closes the gates, naturally.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop Sakka. He just leaps with this enormous hound right over the city wall, an 18-cubit wall that's like over 27 feet high.
Impossible for any normal person.
Completely. Lands inside. People are terrified, hiding in their houses. The black hound just charges through the city streets, scaring everyone. And it gets to the palace, stands there, and lets out this incredible bellow. A sound so powerful it was heard from the lowest hell, Avicii, all the way up to the highest Brahma world.
Resonating across the entire universe. Wow.
Yeah. A universal roar of terror.
So what's really going on here? I mean, beyond just a scary monster story, this incredibly dramatic, almost shocking intervention. It seems to point to a principle, maybe, that sometimes when things get really bad, when moral decline is so deep, maybe a profound, unsettling shock is actually needed to wake people up. It's like a terrifying alarm clock that has to go off before the actual work of rebuilding virtue and order can even begin.
Shake people out of their complacency, I mean.
Exactly. Shake them out of that deep-seated complacency. Make them see the cliff edge they're standing on. Then you can guide them back. It's a radical approach, maybe, but aimed at long-term healing. A cosmic jolt back to reality.
And then comes the big reveal, right, from the commentary on the story. After telling this whole terrifying tale, The Buddha identifies the characters. He says, at that time, Matali the charioteer was Ananda, his chief attendant in his final life. But Sakka was I myself.
There it is. Sakka, the one who orchestrated the whole terrifying display, the divine being commanding the nightmare hound and shouting about the world perishing. That was the Buddha to be. The Bodhisatta, Gautama Buddha himself, in a previous existence.
Mind-blowing, isn't it?
It really is. And it forces you to ask, what does this really tell us about his commitment? This consistent, deep, long-standing drive to work for the world's welfare. Across who knows how many lives, using all sorts of means, even methods that seem, well, shocking or unconventional from our usual perspective.
And it ties back to that goal, doesn't it? Sakka's plan to reestablish the dispensation and prolong it for another 1,000 years.
Precisely. It shows the Bodhisatta wasn't just about teaching passively. He was actively involved in re-energizing the Dhamma, extending its life, ensuring its presence continued, even if it took something drastic to cleanse a society lost in unwholesomeness. It's a profound kind of care, you could say, a commitment to convince people about virtue, even if the method seems frightening at first.
It definitely makes you think. What stands out to you listening to this whole idea that profound positive change might actually start with a terrifying wake-up call, especially orchestrated by a being we associate with ultimate peace, someone who spent countless lives working for welfare. It kind of challenges our assumptions about leadership and intervention, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and maybe it forces us to consider just how bad things might have been perceived to be to warrant such an extreme measure. It wasn't a gentle nudge, was it? It was, as you said, a cosmic earthquake. This deep dive really highlights that great beings, these figures committed to universal good, might use drastic means when society hits a real crisis point.
So, quite a journey we've taken. From the Buddha's well-known compassionate work in his final life, all the way back to the surprising past life as Sakka, using a terrifying hound and a universe-shaking bellow to basically reboot the Dhamma in a time of deep decline. It shows this enduring, multifaceted commitment.
And it leaves us with a thought, doesn't it? What forms can welfare or guidance actually take when a society is really teetering on the edge, deep in unwholesome ways? And maybe, how do we recognize the true purpose of an intervention? Even if it looks scary or disruptive initially, could its ultimate aim be universal well-being, prolonging virtue for ages to come? It really pushes us to think beyond our usual ideas of how compassion works.
It certainly does. Something profound to think about. We encourage you to ponder this ancient wisdom. Maybe think about it in your own context. Consider the different ways balance and virtue might be restored, even if the methods seem, unconventional at first glance.